So, last time, my, where did we even start last time? You continued your conversation with Kieran after teleporting out of the heart of the mountain where the lava portal had been closed off, successfully thwarting some pretty big nasty things from coming through. Uh, Spoiling the Fire Djinn and Fax's plans, and getting kind of a lowdown on some of the creational lore of Aeon. That the cardinal elements, kind of a hierarchy of specific elementals in rank, were the amongst the first, if not the first, things to be pulled into Aeon. And with a blank slate, they created what they saw fit. Now there's a hierarchy of elemental forces that keep each other in balance, which really means gang up on the guy who's given too much power, if that ever does happen. Through a series of random events and a graft opening in the heart of the water, one of the water strongholds. Exactly that began to happen. And you guys helped keep it at bay. Got some questions answered. Nora ran off. And you got some time to explore the college. The nearby location where something water magic. You guys haven't really dove into the purpose of this location very much, but you got a bit of a tour. As a thank you, each of you is kind of getting an item magic, or a magic item or two, depending on what's available or what is requested. And this is the first portion of the shopping, episode post big bad guy arc. And everybody went around. Yaslin didn't really care for anything. She just wandered around the college and and found a good place to meditate and check in with herself, and spoke to her inner companion, who expressed the nature of fear at an instinctual level. You continued around, and eventually we wound up with Margot getting a Bloodwell vial that she could potentially use as to enhance her sorceress abilities. Seamus got Seamus got a private tattoo lesson, or a private tattoo session, and kind of a wink and a smile from the artist/cook of the college. And then Margot pricked her finger to start the process of attuning to the Bloodwell vial. And instead of the blood turning red and filling the vial itself, it turned kind of an ethereal green. Launched her into some other space, and the Bloodwell vial snapped shut as her body fell unconscious on the floor in front of her. Which none of you guys know, because she was doing all that in a room by herself.
Yeah.
So, we begin this interesting setup with Leo. Leo, you start off by getting kind of an introduction to the place around you, and Rizon Mel being the leader of the college, kind of instructs you that, like, if you need anything, let her know. And so where would your kind of first instinct be to explore or peruse or try to acquire things? What do you have in mind?
I mean, my my first instinct is to maybe flirt with the headmistress.
All right, so after a little while of like wandering around, you come back to her office and she she calls you, or you knock on the door. Oh yes, come on in. Is everything to your satisfactory experience so far?
Yeah, everything's beautiful. But I'm curious, how are you? No, come sit down.
It's a bit surprising how infrequently that question is asked. Roll a persuasion check. Leo always rolls high when he's getting his flirt on.
It was a 5, and then it like rolled back to a 15. It was
Ew.
Truthfully, this month has been, first, times can be difficult enough, being in the game of counterbalancing volatile elements throughout the world, and being one edge of that multi-headed blade. And then,
a lot of responsibility.
Always. And then we have bandits come through and attack the library below, which is not my direct responsibility, but we are ancillarily affected, and we pour our resources in to help those there, and then a fire, and now we lose our gin.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. It was a terrible battle.
From what I understand, not any of the last 10 predecessors to me have had this much trouble ever come across their plate, and it happens all to me in 1 month. It's a lot. But yes, you were there. You were in the heart of it. How are you?
Honestly, this has been a pretty tough month for me as well. I mean,
There's how.
I only arrived here in Aeon a few weeks ago.
Oh.
And one of the first things I've done now is, protect this world.
Doesn't give you a lot of choice in the matter sometimes, does it?
No. But I've often found that in my life. You have to make by with what you got, deal with your current situation.
Yes. The alternative is to succumb, which to anyone with a strong heart is an impossible task to accomplish.
Yeah. And I can tell you have a strong heart.
You flatter, and you know you're good at it, don't you?
A little bit. So tell me about these bandits. What did they take? Or I guess that was that the library bandits that we were investigating earlier? Now I'm thinking about it.
Above table, yes.
Yeah. So forget that question because
Yeah.
I do remember now.
Gotcha.
Anyways, also above table, if everyone was getting cool like magic items, did Leo get one, and who was dishing those out?
She took she offered up a few potions from her personal stock that she was using like in case, or that she was uh keeping in case of emergency. But she um hypothesized that like the emergency state of people needing healing potions was over, and she offered them. The group ultimately declined to take them. um and then she took you to her quartermaster, um and gave uh he gave Margot a wand of magic missile, and he's the one that got her the Bloodwell vial as well. Also, he pointed Seamus towards the druidic cook, who gave him that tattoo, which acts as a claw of insignia. So it's kind of like you kind of have free reign to go around the college and kind of seek after what it is that you might want. And but so she's kind of given the thumbs up to the group that you guys can go and ask for things that people wouldn't normally be able to ask for.
Cool.
Yeah.
Trying to think of his next move.
And she kind of leans in and like closes her book that she's like writing notes and memos in and such. From what I understand from the history of this world, it's never been an easy place. Each generation that makes it through seems to have their own trial. There's something about ours that is less open about the conflict, more surreptitious, chaotic behind the scenes, like waves of sand moving under the crusts of the earth. It's hard to fight something like that. Mostly because we don't know where to look.
Seems as though Aeon is a ever-changing, ever-troubled world.
That is incredibly true. But, and she gestures kind of around her office, and you can see there's decoration on the walls and such. Like there's a painting that is like a kind of like a lighthouse overlooking the sea, and all of the sea is actual like moving water, while the rest of it is still like paint. And you see some like stained glass kind of in like this rippling wave that kind of moves around her office, and the hues of each pane in the stained glass kind of change slightly. And at the same time, it's a beautiful place. So much intermingling culture here. There's so much to be gained from learning about one another, and so little to separate us, so except for where we originally came from, which is nothing to some, and everything to others, I suppose. But getting to know one another If the world could do that, we'd be in a better place.
There certainly is a lot of beauty here in Aeon. Now just look at her eyes intently.
I'm not opposed to my view as well.
Well then, perhaps we can share this view again. Maybe tonight? What time is it, Morgan?
It's getting around like 7 o'clock. You guys kind of woke up some unknown amount of time later after like being in the Kieran's den, just completely like slapped down from exhaustion. You guys got here around 3 o'clock or so, and it's getting around like 7, 8 o'clock ish. So like the lights have come on, the evening dim has started to set in.
So he'll say, yeah, perhaps when you're done with work, we could meet in the garden just beyond your office.
That'd be nice. A stroll would be a lovely change.
Sounds great.
And speaking of change, and she's going to kind of like up down you. She's like, but you know that she's not like checking you out. She's like looking at the state of your clothing. Do you require some repairs or replacement for your garments?
Very much so. I'm embarrassed to be in this state, but I do think you understand where I've been.
Quite, and I expect that you haven't had much time for respite or recuperation or changing since then.
Yeah. Would you know where I could do that? Maybe find some new clothing?
Certainly, we've got quite the tailor here. They're a little bit unexpected, but I could take you to them, and they'd be able to whip up something for you. Most likely, they can accommodate, as long as it's in the right color scheme and, you know, from what we have available. They have some fabrication ability as well, so what's available tends to be pretty broad.
Wonderful. Would you lead the way?
Right this way. And as she walks by, she kind of like grabs your arm and kind of tucks her arm in yours as you walk by. And she's gonna take you across the hall. Oh, and Leo, for you, this space right here, it's like this big pool with like runes set deep into it. And it's a constant flow and creation of burbling water that just like flows outside the wall. So like this entire wall right here is open. And the waterfall just falls straight down. And you can see down there, there's like a layer of where what seems like a surface of a lake extends out, and you can see the library below it.
Okay.
But it seems kind of like an illusionary being on the other side of the illusionary barrier.
All right.
She comes over here and she knocks, opens up, and you hear a yes. And inside of this room, you see like this large white male minotaur, bright purple hair, and kind of like a like a cocky look on their face. And as you come in, it's like, oh, I'm Master Riser, what can I help you with? She says, this is Leo. He is one of our guests that is currently here. And as you can see, his attire is taking quite a beating from his recent endeavors, which is part of why we're all likely alive. Or at least not still fighting for our lives underneath the thrumming of a constant wave of fire elementals. Well, then you have my thanks as well, Leo. My name is Dagwood. And I'm the one who does most of the clothing, attire, robes, occasional wearable magic items. I'm the one who's good with the needles and the cloth.
Well,
What are
great.
you looking for?
I'm really looking to tidy up. Get some nice clothing again. Maybe a hat.
Haven't had a chance to use my haberdashery skills in quite some time. This would be interesting.
Well, I do need to look classy for an evening I have planned. Kind of look over at her a little bit.
Don't. Well, then I shall do my very best to make you presentable.
And then yeah, Leo would probably turn to her and thank her so much for bringing him, and I'll see you later tonight. And give her a little wink.
Certainly. Don't keep him too long, Dagrin. Been a long time since I had a stroll with a handsome man. And as she closes the door, she kind of opens it and she leans back and she says, I meant stroll like a walk, not the other kinds. Bye. She buggers off and continues to her office. Goes back in and shuts the door. Have to refresh, but Dagrim kind of leans over his desk and kind of sets his hands across him. So, the current motif, lots of black, lots of pink. Are you looking to continue that trend, or what's on your mind?
I mean, yes. This is kind of what I've worn for years. So, grays, blacks, dark tones, golds, and a lot of pink.
Interesting. Well, I got the general message that you were to be accommodated to the best of our abilities, and that most of our accommodations and resources were at your disposal. So is there anything in particular that you're looking to enhance as well?
Good question. Hold on. Like, I guess I could use either intelligence or wisdom boosts. So both would work in a fancy hat.
Interesting. Let me see.
Headband of intellect.
Right. Oh, it's been a while since I was browsing for these sort of things.
What is it that Leo gets a boost for when he's rolling something about monsters? Is it nature?
Yeah, I get a +2 to nature checks for monsters specifically.
Okay. What are you sitting at now?
For nature checks,
Yeah.
like it's a +1,
Okay.
so my passive is 11.
Um, so what's the need for increased intelligence, wisdom? What are you trying to accomplish? Maybe you can give me a bit more direction. I can point you in the right way. Leo, if you're talking, you're muted.
Yeah, I was muted. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Yeah, I mean, I would be best to go with intelligence. So I would tell him that I'm both looking to look smart and be smart.
Hmm. Kind of sits back and thinks about it. That weapon at your hip. Can you describe it for me? Is very clearly gesturing to the sword.
The crystal short sword. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say, oh, this sword. I've had it for several years now. It was a prize for completing or for defeating a monster in my world. I was able to grab one of his scales to turn it into this, and he'd show it. And like in my picture, it's kind of got like a large crystal on top, but it's just a short general sword, and the hilt is all fancy and pink.
Hmm.
Yeah. So the idea is that top crystal on there actually came off of another monster that I pulled
Mhm.
off and modified this sword.
Yeah. So, looks like would crystals be something that you continue in your appearance as well?
Yeah, of course. It's how I work with my um familiars, you could say.
Hmm. That's interesting. I may have a certain something for you. Yeah. Sorry, just as I'm pulling something up. Okay. And kind of goes over to like one of these little, it's kind of a series of cylinders that lead up to kind of a, like a cylinder with like just a rim of water on it. Goes in and kind of touches his finger to it, and pulls it upwards and becomes a bit of a portal. And he kind of waves his hands open and kind of like an extended closet goes in Says, follow me for a moment. And he walks you around, and there's all sorts of like magical looking garments. There is a lot of focus on either like literal armor that's adorned with the symbol of the book with the waterfall coming out of it, or robes, staves, things that you would see traditional like magic casters wearing. I was gonna kind of bypass this. Like, do you use magic?
No.
Got it. Okay, so ignore these. And he walks down. He kind of like comes in front of a display case that has layer after layer after layer after layer, different variety of crystals in there. And some of them are like red with some like black smears in them, kind of blue, streaky, yellow. It's like some of them look like traditional gems, but other ones look more like a candy that was like thrown into a gem shape. It says, have you ever heard of an iron stone?
I don't believe I have.
There's many different types. They tend to vary in their application. In this regard, they boost something. Some, as he points to kind of like a green one with some like yellow streaks in it. This one increases the speed in which you can move. And he kind of points at a few others and says, increased ability to not be hit, increased ability to hit, additional ability to be hit. He kind of points around. He points specifically at two of them. Now, what you said, wisdom and intelligence, that provokes an interesting thought. There is one that is kind of dark blue with some like blue, like some deeper blue waves within it. And then there's kind of one that is kind of a more sky blue with some white sharp streaks through it. Wisdom boost, intelligence boost. Now the two of these are separated. And honestly, if I gave you them both, you'd have to attune to them separately. But if you're looking for a bit more variety, I may be able to take a couple of unenchanted gems and transfer half of the enchantment from both of these into one. So you, instead of something that gave you, say, a plus, or like an increased amount of wisdom, you could get a moderate amount of wisdom increase and a moderate amount of intelligence, rather than a significant boost in both. Or in one, you could get a more moderate boost in both.
That sounds perfect. Exactly what I need.
Excellent. And if you don't mind me asking, with the sword and the kind of more rugged armor and such, what is your role in the group?
My role?
Role when you go into a battle. Are you trying to be more elusive, clever, take a better hit? You know, where do you sit in things?
I sit in front of my enemy, swinging my sword. Does that
Okay,
answer your
right up.
question?
I believe it does. So, right up in the face of things.
Most of the time.
Perfect. I may have a little bit more for you as well. And he takes out a knife from his uh, belt, goes over to one of the items on the wall. It's kind of this, almost like a flower petal dress that lesser petals, and it's obviously designed for a woman, and it's like goes like lower and lower and lower. And the closer to the feet that it goes, it billows out further and further in more layers of these kind of like white petals. Looks a little bit ceremonial. Takes you his knife and goes by and like, cuts off one of the tips of the petals. Just kind of tosses it behind him. Says, "Now come over and observe." And you go over and you look at the petal, and you can start to see little pieces of the stitching are beginning to like move and slowly kind of reform into that petal shape. He kind of waves the dagger lazily around. He's like, would it take a good, 2-3 hours for it to get all the way back to normal? But it does get back to normal by itself. You can make clothing that repairs itself, so you don't have to do it for you. To certain measures, there's only so much the magic can do before it becomes inert, but it can be quite handy.
That's fantastic. I would love that.
All right. Huh. Excellent. Then, let me get your measurements. And he kind of looks at you and grabs like a single monocle, which on a minotaur is like the size of like a small saucer. As he like inserts it into his eye, and you see little runes start to like dash across it. As he kind of looks around, turns you around, and like has you like lift up your arms and whatnot. Ooh, you've got a nifty little belt too. Do you want me out like that, or leave it alone?
What was the question?
Do you want me to update the belt, or leave it alone?
Oh, we can update it. Just make sure it has a spot for my crystals.
And they seem to be a variety of sizes, true?
Mm-hmm. Well, today just small and medium.
Interesting. I could certainly manage something along those lines. Right. Well, take a moment, go sit down, and let's get this party started. Comes up and comes back to the middle of the room. Kind of goes to the center thing here, and like kind of a mannequin made of ice like shows up after he kind of like waves his hands, and it's kind of like a clone of you, and just sits there. And he begins to go through a series of spells to like fabricate materials, and you see he's got some, and you see over the course of the next 2 hours or so, he's constantly casting spells to make a material or change a material, or like using very adept use of like his own hands and mage hand, especially like when he's going in to sew something specific and tiny. He's got very thick digits being a minotaur, but the mage hand can be very deft and sew things for him. And it's almost like this conductor of cloth over the next couple of hours. And he eventually kind of gets it done. And like, are you paying attention the whole time? Or are you kind of like zoning out? Or do you go wander off? Or what are you up to?
Yeah, I mean, if it's gonna be 2 hours, he'll probably wander off.
Okay.
I mean, in my mind, it's pretty late. He'd probably get some food before
Mhm.
he'd come back and get his clothes and go out for his date.
Sounds good. You are able to find the kitchen, which is in the very upper right here. And I expect at some point, let me see, Seamus, by this time, does he see you coming away from the kitchen, or have you already been off doing other things by now?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of depends on how long my tat took and stuff. Kind of how the timing would work there. If I came out from getting my tat done and I didn't find one of my crew, like, relatively quickly walking down just a few halls or something, I would maybe look to, well, are all these walls made of water? I think we've like talked about some of that before. Is there like water just streaming down like most walled surfaces? Because Seamus, I think in his head, he's like in this new place, everybody's being nice, even though like we just helped out and there's like maybe some expectation of getting like paid back. I think that Seamus is also starting to think about just checking out the place a little bit, but in private. So, yeah, I think he'd be thinking about like going invisible and climbing up a wall and just like being a fly on the ceiling, basically somewhere.
Okay. Yeah, you do have. I mean, there are plenty of surfaces that are like a either like a waterfall, a trickle, frozen block of ice, stone that looks like water, a growth of vegetation. But there are also plenty of places that are solid stone or metal. So you are able to find something. In this instance, I'd say you are, because you went in and helped with the kitchen and then went and got your tattoo, I'd say that's about 2-3 hours total, which is probable for Leo wandering around, flirting, going to get measured, initial conversation, and kind of coming by. I'd say you and Leo could see each other in the crossing pretty soon after your tattoo.
Yeah, sounds good. Then I'll say hey, show him my new ink. What do you think of the new ink?
He's having a hard time getting there. Here he comes. Doors. Whoa. Oh, that's amazing. What does it just look cool?
No, it's got some magical properties for sure. This is a pretty fancy school they got here.
Tattoos that do magic.
What have you been doing?
Oh, I went and chatted with the headmistress for a little while and getting some new clothes made.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I've actually got a date with the headmistress in about an hour. So
You sure do move fast, don't you?
everything moves fast in Aeon. I'm just getting my slice.
Well, it's impressive the way that you have a have acclimated to Aeon. And I'm glad to hear you're getting some help there with your threads.
Yeah, it's ever since I damaged my shoe, I've felt horrible.
It's all downhill from there, isn't it? So what are you off to next here?
Oh, yes, grabbing some food before I grab my clothing. Anything you recommend?
Was thinking about getting a bite to drink. I mean, a sample to eat somewhere or something.
Um, eh, sure then, yeah. Yeah, come with me. And we can go in here, meet the kitchen lady. Doors.
Yeah, Jim can help us out here.
All right. So as you walk back in, she kind of turns around and be like, "I was fairly certain I just got rid of you momentarily."
I couldn't stay away. But my friend here and I were hoping to get something maybe to eat, and we knew this was the place to come.
Indeed, it is. Now, your proclivities for food are very strange. Does he share them?
I'm guessing he likes it a little more cooked than I do.
Yeah,
And by that I
food,
mean cooked.
just normal food, yeah.
Right. Well, by all means. And she kind of gestures to some of the food that's already prepared or partially prepared. And I'm like, I don't know if you're just looking for sustenance. And she goes over to a barrel and just like picks up a bead. One of these will just taste like absolute nothing shite, but you can try it and it'll fill you for a day.
Yeah, Leo will hold out his hand, like, throw it to me.
Yeah, it does. It's just this gelatinous little bead thing. If you pop it in,
Yeah.
chew it, it's just kind of like chewing like unflavored jello for a minute.
Mm.
But yeah, you feel, well nourished and kind of full and like sated.
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
Leo doesn't really care much about food. He just needs to eat, so this is perfect.
Is that like a good berry gummy?
um, so I assume Leo kind of. How do you react to it, Leo?
Oh, I mean, he'll just pop it down, no problem, no faces, like, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome. Most people don't take me up on that. They prefer their flavor.
Prefer my time.
Leo here is an adventurous man.
Right. Like I said, nobody takes me up on these very often. Would you care for some for the road?
Oh, I would love some.
Perfect. Get them out of here. I tried it as an experiment, and nobody really wanted it. So they've just mostly just been sitting around. But since they're magical food, they don't particularly have much of an expiration date. At least not one that shows up quickly. I'm just gonna grab kind of a bag for you. It's just like, and these kind of go hand in hand. These ones are a little more popular, but why not? She hands you over a bag, and it's a kind of 50 each. And it is a bead of nourishment, and the other ones, which are a little bit more like liquid filled, bead of refreshment.
Sweet. And there's 50 in each.
Yes.
Sweet. Alright, adding that to my inventory.
Leo, where's your little amphibian?
I don't know. He looked down on it on his crystals to see if they were all lit up properly. I don't know when he went away. I think it was last time when I wasn't here, so presumably he's in his crystal.
I think we left him in the collet or the Kieran's like water supply.
Kenji!
And you can kind of feel him. Kenji looked at the big building and like didn't really care for it, so he decided to just like bathe and like chill in the nice water in front instead.
Okay. So yeah, I'd respond to Seamus and I'd be like, "Oh, he's around, somewhere in the water."
Can you, like, sense where he's at?
I mean, I can sense his thought. So, roughly.
He's probably got a dirty mind, I bet.
Ooh, you don't even know.
I've got an idea. I've been talking to a few of these amphibious folks recently, and I'll turn and look at Jen.
Yes, well, something's got to occupy our time when we're not being attacked by, you know, the fiery opposition.
Fair
Can't
enough.
talk about food. And a little frog in the corner, who is the one that kind of is running more like the medicinal side of things, as they are like preparing the medicinal food and whatnot. Kind of hears like a little croak of laughter, like, and she grabs like a wooden spoon and throws it up. Shut up, you! And she kind of gets and just like goes back to its work, still chuckling. Well, Leo, it's nice to meet you. Name's Jen. If you hear of anybody who enjoys them, let me know. I mean, it was fun enough making them, but nobody around here wants them. Doesn't mean, and I don't get out of the college very much. But if you happen to come across somebody who might, let me know. That could be something interesting to work with.
Will do. Thank you again.
Have you ever
My
thought about
pleasure.
putting it in a dessert?
I have. It's too filling to have more than maybe 1.5. But also it kind of nullifies the flavor from everything around it as well. I tried it. It wasn't very good.
Yeah, that sounds disappointing. Well, if you ever get a hankering for something more fancy, I might have opportunities for you to expand your income horizons.
Well, aren't you a man of many facets, Mr. Black?
I am indeed.
I look forward to additional conversations and additional pop-ins and you not being able to stay away and all that.
As
Nah.
do I.
Now, as much fun as it is here, off you pop. I've got a bit of rest I need to get to, and we need to prepare for the next rush as well.
Of course, thanks for your time.
My pleasure. Good night. Bruce.
So where's your fancy date?
Yep, let's well, I gotta go pick up my fancy duds first. So let's go see my Minotaur friend.
Sounds good to me. Is this a new Minotaur friend of yours?
Yes, this is a very different Minotaur from Belga.
Are they related?
I hope not.
I'm swinging.
Oh dear.
Okay. So as you come back in, you guys kind of get the final crescendo of that cloth symphony I was describing earlier, as they're moving threads, needles, telekinesis, magic hands, and all sorts of spells. The pieces and enchantments and magical symbols begin to like all kind of like fall into place around this icy clone of Leo's body. An updated version of his clothes. And Leo, what would the new clothes look like as you've described the general intention to Dagger here?
I mean, in my mind, they look closer to the AI image that you made than what I had before. But still, maybe a little bit more threaded with pink, and then probably that jewel, that crystal towards the center, like the chest area. Unless that ended up on my hat, which I'm very open to. I will leave it
Indeed.
up to you, Morgan, whether a hat was made and what it looks like.
Indeed, it did make it into the hat. The Iron Stone traditionally floats above the head, and it is the hat in whatever style you want. It does have like a kind of a central point where the crystal sits in like an inactive state, and then when it is active, it kind of like retreats from that slot and circles your head. The crystal itself is about like, if you kind of cut the last inch and a half off a tennis ball, and there's like that slit, maybe a little bit smaller, but it's kind of the whole thing is kind of like this blue and red twist all the way down with kind of like a black spiral. Is the overall like style of the crystal. It looks like 3 different gems were like kind of hot pressed together and then like twisted, like you can twist like wrought iron, and it's like that, and they kind of like blended together all the way up. But what kind of style hat is Leo looking for?
What? So yeah, I mean, what he's looking for is like a tricorn hat, like a captain's hat, like a something big, not necessarily with a feather, maybe a feather. Let me find an example of the type of hat he's after.
Okay. All right, sounds good. So you come in and you've got that kind of updated, improved armor, and it is an armor of mending. Let's see here. And then you also have the Iron Stone, and it is it's a Iron Stone, and there's not an actual item for this because this one we just kind of made up. It gives you a +1 to Wisdom, +1 to Intelligence.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Did I build that as a custom item? Can I do that?
Yeah, you should be able to. Let me see here. Okay.
Or we can create a passive effect to add to an attribute, but I need the attribute name.
Yeah, and I don't know it off my head. Yep, and I'm trying to look at like other iron stones that are already set up to
In-game.
see if we can
Yeah.
find how they're modifying that. And I don't see any details in it. Here, we are. I'm just gonna add an iron stone into your inventory real quick on D&D Beyond
Alright.
and see how it would do it. Okay, so we'll see that in a moment. What? Whoops. It looks like the import just nuked everything. Oh no, it just took a minute to think
Load
about it.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we will have to play around with that later because I don't
That's
see
cool.
it actually updating your stats at all or anything. Okay. So we know that you've got a +1 to intelligence, +1 to wisdom there. I'm sure it's not that difficult to find out what that attribute is and stuff.
Yeah, we can get it going.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
I could also just manually configure these to have an extra +1.
Yeah, true. Okay. So he kind of looks over, and so you've got whatever armor it is that you were wearing, got that armor of mending. So it will essentially do mending on itself over time. It's not a terribly fast amount or anything. Basically to counteract daily wear and tear. Pieces that are like fully removed or like damaged in large sections will not be able to repair in this way. Yeah. And do you want that? You do get that tricorn. It's got that little gem slot for it to slide into. Is the feather black or is it pink?
Yeah, let's do
Versus-
pink feather. Pink feather would be good.
Pink feather. All right. Sounds good. And Seamus, I think we said that your shirt was a little scorched up, right?
It is. I picture he's just been walking around, big open chest,
Mhm.
black phone cape, super awkward.
Does he have like, does he have like a fuzzy chest, or is it like pretty well then like sculpted and sleek?
Not that much fuzzy beard. Like he's probably fuzzy all the way down. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just. And how about for you? You wanted a little update to your wardrobe as well?
I could probably use a shirt or two.
Looks like a kind of a basic black you've got going on. Anything in particular you were looking for?
That's generally the style. It's got to fit the cape.
Not a problem. You should be much easier than his. So, once again, kind of takes your measurements, goes through, sets things up, and it's probably only about 20 minutes before he's able to deliver, a good shirt that matches the motif.
I technically am wearing black studded leather armor.
Yeah, that
But
works.
I picture it like, kind of patchworked around his body, maybe. I don't know. I guess I do have like a full leather chest armor thing, so maybe it is studded leather. But there'd be a shirt underneath it and stuff that'd be shredded and stuff, so he'd repair it.
Okay, yeah, sounds good. You get yourself all back to looking your normal amount of fancy.
He is kind of fancy looking.
Mhm. And if any of your other compatriots are in similar need, send them my way. I can certainly help them out as well.
I think that Margot can fix her own stuff. She seems to have that handled. She at least came out more or less tattered than the rest of us, it seemed.
Good skill to hand in the field. The more exposure you have, generally the less you come back with on your body.
Yeah, Yaslin didn't seem to mind that she didn't have much left at all. She seemed quite comfortable.
Oh, one of them brazen types, I see.
People just aren't off-put by anything.
Certainly.
Prefer the breeze.
And he kind of gestures to himself, and like his chest is open. He's got some very decorative like manacles, and he's got like some fancy ass like silk pants on, very intricate in like design and whatnot. And like as you look at them, some of them even like kind of the pattern inside of them moves, like purple and gold and even some like white and a little bit of blue. Almost like ropes doing jump rope. Just kind of pattern swapping. I can't say I disagree with the breezy statement. Cover all this fur up with more clothing, it gets a little stagnant.
Those are some fancy pants.
Indeed.
I feel like I wouldn't be a bit surprised to learn that they were tearaway Velcro.
Ooh.
Not quite, but they do have a trick to them. And
I won't ask.
well, it's a terrible shame. And he kind of like snaps his fingers, and the illusion inside of the cloth extends and kind of like fills up the room around me. It can be quite a party trick. And he kind of snaps his fingers again, and it changes in like some. It's like those ropes kind of change into like a swirl of like a blizzard around you. It comes back in. Yeah, if you're ever looking to add a little extra theater to what you're doing, and you don't mind being obvious about it, can make things a little easier.
What is some fancy pants?
I like my fancy pants. That is true. Huh. Send anybody else you need my way, and I'd be happy to hook them up as well.
Yeah, we'll do.
Oh,
No,
it's
we done.
muted.
But I said thank you.
Right. Okay. So, Yaslin, what you up to?
So I think Yasmin wandered around a bit and then went back into the room that had like all the weird training stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And she like probably picked up a weapon here or there, felt them out a bit, gave them a couple test swings. And then is this just like water in the middle?
It's essentially like a big cube of water. This is essentially similar to like a room with a giant ballistic gel in the middle of it. So you can test out weapons, water, and such like that, but there's force fields on either side. So from where you're at, you and objects can pass through going this way, but once you hit this wall, it's a force field. So it's kind of like a one directional thing. So somebody can fire weapons off from where you're at, pointed at the person on the other side of the room, and it'll just detonate on the force field, and vice versa. You guys saw this when the quartermaster was displaying the one magic missile that Margot got.
Oh. Okay, cool. Is it like something I can go through?
It's essentially it's like difficult terrain because it's kind of like walking through a gelatinous cube, but it's not acidic.
Alright, and so if I walked through, would I be able to make it out to the other end? I guess I'll find out. So like she tests it out with like a weapon first, cause like, and realizing that like it kind of goes through, she'll be like, alright, she'll drop the weapon, cause she's wearing these weird monk garbs right now, and they're all sorts of in the ways flowy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you
like-
kind of just like start to press through, and as you do, the monk garb just kind of like streaks out behind you, makes you look like you're running really fast, but you're moving really slow. And you kind of get to the other side.
Frustrated with that, so she just like takes off the top part, and her boots are left behind because they probably don't fit. It's okay.
It's just, yeah, like as you're breathing, it's like kind of hard to breathe. Like it's like kind of like if you've ever actually like sat underneath a waterfall, you have to like manipulate your mouth
Oh yeah.
in a certain way so that like you're not inhaling the water. Yeah.
She comes out the other end, sees the garments that have been left behind in this weird gelatinous stuff, and it's like, oh, I think those will just stay there. I'm sure somebody picks stuff up that gets stuck in there.
Yeah, you are unable to get through the force field.
Oh, I'm stuck.
You
here.
can't. Yeah, but you can go out and around to the other side of the room. So you can get there. You just have to exit and come back in.
Back around. This was the. I don't know if this journey was worth it. But she comes back out.
Yaslin just kind of goofing around. Her hair is like a little bit slicked back, like she just like walked through a glob of like hair gel.
Yeah, she kind of comes out and like flicks off any like goo that's on her. Has abandoned the weird flowy top that was her monk robes. Oh, this door is closed. That's why I can't get out. I know. Has a hard time opening the door because her hands are a little slippery. Oh. Do I see these two? Leo and Seamus just
Muted.
chilling in this room.
Damn it.
So good. It was so good.
I feel like people should take bets on when I'm going to do it.
Around halfway through the session, I predict.
Mhm. Right? If we ever get like a following and we're on Discord or like streaming on Twitch and stuff, you know, people get bonus points for our channel if they can guess when I'm going to talk on mute properly. That
Alright.
those points are redeemable for swag in the shop, then something else, something.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yaslin, how long were you wandering the grounds and talking to yourself and other things?
I think she did like a pretty good wander around when everyone else was getting their items and stuff. Like the first round of everyone splitting off, I think. Yeah, so everyone walked over here to talk. Yaslin wandered around and then wandered around again. And so it was she probably had her little meditation thing around the time everyone else was breaking off.
Okay.
And then she came back in and went back here to to apparently mess around in some ooze.
Sounds good. Yeah, you know what? Why not? I think you you do kind of like walk in and see, or you like walk out and see the other guys like in the other room and whatnot, like as Seamus's clothing and armor is being repaired and just about finished up there.
So she'll just stick her head in. Have either of you seen the other two around?
Oh, is this the brazen one you were mentioning?
And he doesn't have shoes or a top.
How can you guess?
Well, she has less clothing on than I do. That's the general guess.
Yaslin, this is the tailor. If you need more clothing, he could help.
Oh?
Indeed. What is it that you're looking for? If anything.
Well, I could use another pair of clothes. They seem to get destroyed so quickly.
Yes. Well, what do you have in mind?
Well,
What?
it needs to be something a little more close cut. Something that's not too flowy but not too restricting at the same time. Furby, perhaps a pair of pants. And could you design a top that is more exposed? I know it's a little counterintuitive, but armor does me no good anyways.
You seem to come a little bit prepared with your own.
Yes, well, something maybe a little more stylish than this.
Well, let me see what I can do. He begins the process is there as well. It's gonna take a while. So while that begins, Dro, what are you up to?
Screaming for where everybody is. But also just kind of taking a look around, knowing that we're actually in a place where we can be safe for a little bit. And just taking in this college, this water college. And I think at some point his attention span looking for people would just diminish. And he would wander out to what looks to be, I guess, like a fountain with chairs around it.
Actually, so kind of up here, and everybody's got full visuals on the map, right? You guys aren't like having to. You guys aren't like necessarily restricted by walls and whatnot right now.
We can see all.
Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
Yeah.
Sorry, something just happened. So, Drew, yeah, you walk in, and this room kind of appears as a bit more of like a conference room.
Oh, this is awkward. Just
And you walk in, and all kind of four people that happen to be in there kind of turn their gaze on you.
Just stop mid stride.
And they all kind of stop and look perplexed, and except for it's got kind of a fawn with more like bullish motif instead of like goats. You have like an actual like mermaid woman who's kind of sitting in a chair of water, kind of like supporting her weight in this little like geyser, and you have kind of a blue clad Leodid as well, and then an owlin who has like one mechanical wing, a bunch of like little glowy blue orbs sitting into her armor as well, and they kind of all look at you, and the owlin pipes up like, "Oh, you're new?
Yeah,
Just don't worry about it. It's like, if you're here, you're welcome to be here, like in this room. We're fine. You look a little nervous."
yeah, just past experience of walking in the middle of what looks to be and just kind of look around an important meeting. Am I interrupting anything?
No. We're just one of the council that's like trying to keep everything together, to make everything get back together. We can help to redirect resources and such to where they're supposed to be. Put some people on defense pyramid, put some people on triage, put some people on cooking, etc., etc., etc. This is the logistics of Chlorotine, I suppose.
Is this the owlin talking?
Yes.
Okay. So, I'm just kind of looking around. You are right. I am new here. Me and my friends. So we just came from the Kirin's temple, and he kind of questions what direction it was for a minute, and then points the direction where they came from.
The leader kind of gives you points.
Yeah, slowly moves his finger that way. And then we were told to come down here, and we're told that this is a college, but me personally, never been the one, don't plan to, but I've been in something similar to this, I guess you could say. I grew up in there for a bit. Is this more than just a place of learning?
The fawn speaks up. Well, yes. We certainly do plenty of learnings, and at the moment we're not holding class for any students because people would frankly be better off just being with their families at the moment. But yes, we teach. We try to show influential minds that balance, harmony, serenity are very valuable, and how they can be wielded to help others. But then, like most other places, there's those who have already gained their proficiencies and are looking to make change beyond that.
So he's just still taking everything in, making eye contact as they talk and stuff, but okay. And it seems you guys are pretty well supplied. I mean, we just came from the quartermaster and he was willing to give a few friends of mine some new toys. Now that I think about it, I hope they found clothes. And he kind of looks down at his. Is there a place I could switch out? I mean, this is kind of my style, but it also just feels weird.
And Leonid speaks up. Weird, yeah.
So I'm more in the, what would some say, strike first, get away. And these do give me movement, but they seem a little too much of movement, if that makes sense. So the clothing I wear, and I think I would have put this over the clothing I already had. So I think he would start to take it off and show the clothing that's torn up. It still allows me to move fairly quickly, but it's also pretty restrained to my body. And to be fair, I've recently obtained a new weapon primary, I would say. And the clothing I had was good for and points up the quarterstaff, but this one I'm still getting used to and point to the cross brand next to the quarterstaff on his back. And I think there's a few times the clothing I had got caught. And this, I can probably guarantee, will be shredded. And where I got this, it just doesn't seem right to put what this clothing did, his torn up one, into something that we just got from a holy place.
So you're looking for something that goes a little better along with Frostbrand's new capabilities.
Yeah, I'm probably prefer, if possible, something. I have a feeling that I am going to be dealing with water quite frequently. So something that, if it gets wet, it's not going to become heavy, not going to be a hindrance.
And then the mermaid kind of speaks up and says, "Stop teasing him. Look, the answer to everything you're describing is go see Dagron. He's the one that makes sure all of us can move to the best of our abilities. Anything that you need, he's your man. Oh, person."
He just kind of looks at her. What do you mean?
You'll see when you see him. But
Okay.
but go see him. He'll fix you right up.
Where would
After all, a new champion needs not make a mockery out of himself, and don't worry, I don't mean it to set you up for failure. I imagine that you just have a lot to learn. And making sure at least your body is comfortable in this new way of things can be a good step towards it.
Yeah. He starts to turn. Where is he? Because I've been wandering for quite a while. And I haven't seen really anybody. Especially people I came here with.
I mean, Dagron, no, it's just, she kind of directs you. Go out the door you came. Down the hall. To the right, to the left. You'll be there.
Cool. Another thing, now that I think about it. Before all this happened, the group and I were down in Rippletop. We were at a place called Adventurer's Door, and there seemed to be a bounty board there, and for some odd reason, a companion of mine who is not innate in magic whatsoever was drawn to one in particular that, and out of game, Billy, correct me if I'm wrong, that was asking for some help with some water magic.
Yeah.
I think here. And I will say, the approach that we went for information was probably not the best idea. We did gather a little bit, but we're still, for some reason, she is set on getting more information on this. So, do you know anything of anyone around here that had put up work asking for, I guess it was like an assistant or something in regards to water magic? Just drops his shoulders.
She just kind of giggles and it's less specific than you might think. It's a bit of bait that people can stumble upon to discover the college. But we don't just give it out for free. There are strict details about earning their way in.
So it was a recruitment flyer.
More or less for those who were interested enough to seek it out.
Did this thing have a bounty total on it? I don't remember.
I don't remember
No.
Let me
off the top of my
look.
head either.
I wrote this stuff down. Let me look.
Oh my god.
I
Bro,
left
it's just
here
like,
somewhere.
just shoulders drop. Just. So there is.
Oh, okay. So it was sorry. So it was a paper asking about a research partner for some form of water magic, is what I have written down.
Mhm.
No gold.
And it says 10 gold a day, 300 gold upon completion.
It's a fucking recruitment.
Did we complete them?
Research apprentice for water magic, payment for capture, 10 gold per day or 300 for completion.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that was a puzzle for those to solve, so you could either bring in more students or more teachers. You even put a reward total on it?
And the owlin just kind of starts giggling and cracking up. You'd be surprised how many people ignore that if there's nobody around. But once they start to pull on the strings and unravel things, they get pretty interested. The money doesn't even matter.
I swear, and he's just gonna be like, God damn it, Aslan.
I mean, don't you guys see the signs on the side of the road that's like, self real estate, $6,000 a month? That's what this is.
Wait, that's not legit?
No, that's water. That's the water mages. They do that to trick you.
We interrogated the whole marketplace for answers on this.
I'm not sorry for my actions.
Oh my god.
I have a name of a wizard from that Kenku kid.
Yeah,
Oh, from the young, from Kilu.
Mm-hmm.
I think you were the only one that
And-
knew that, though, wasn't it?
Winterbog.
Yeah.
Is there a Winterbog in this
I
college?
swear to God,
I
if I
see
run
that.
into it. That's yes, gold will get most people's attention. And those that I travel with still raises the question why one of them was very fascinated with it, especially that she's not well inclined with magic at all. But that's a conversation I need to have with her. By any chance, did you happen to see? I'm trying to think at this point. My traveling companions, I will say they are not hard to spot. They stick out fairly well. One, they're dressed head to toe, blackish clothing. Another, with pink hair, may have a turtle creature with him, but I'm kind of looking around at all the water. Maybe not. A shorter woman.
What's a question? What's a turtle?
Shit. Do I have? Hold on. Can I cast Minor Illusion? Put a small Kenji in my hand.
Yeah.
So something like this, and it's gonna be the first version of Kenji to begin with. But then we're like, oh wait, no, and then kind of shake it, like brush it away, and then actually the new buff Kenji, demigod Kenji.
The four of them kind of like look around at each other and just kind of like exchange some like glances, and they're like, I mean, new creatures come and go from Aeon all the time, but this is unknown to us. Never seen anything like that.
He's an interesting one. Kind of an obsession with water, which kind of makes sense. But he's normally with my pink-haired companion. I think we also traveled with a little bit shorter woman, similar white color hair as myself. Honestly, tends to give off a lot of creeper stares as she stares at you a lot. Then the one that I mentioned that is so inclined with this bounty, probably at this point, very, very not dressed. Looks like she wants to punch you, and she will. Have you seen any of those individuals wandering here?
Well, we've been in here for hours, but and Alan like kind of starts touching something on her arm. There's a little slot that opens up, and it's like a little thing comes out and like flies up and like kind of attaches to the side of her head. And she goes through and like starts casting like message, like pretty rapidly.
That's so cool.
And then she's like, "Oh, there are Daglins."
Of course they are. Okay. All of them?
Some of them, I guess.
Interesting. And knowing the relationship between Margot and Bro at this point, he's going to try to speak into his head, thinking that she didn't listen and connected with him. You there?
No response.
He's learning.
Is he talking to himself? That Alan says that she's got like that device in her head that.
Yes and no. It's a long story. Not to be super creepy, but I have a lot of people talking in my head at times, and it's such a blast. that is sarcastic. It's just really suspicious. If some of them are together, where are the rest of them? But I think I will go regroup with them. And before I do, this whole champion thing that I'm still getting used to being called, and was kind of, in all honesty, a last-ditch effort to save some people, but in the return, I did lose someone close to me. So, any information that you guys could have, either from previous champions or previous experience you guys have got, I would love to make use of that and make that sacrifice meaningful.
And the three of them look over at the Leon and they just come turns around and say, give us the name, please. We'll resume our talks later. And they all kind of just start to head out. And oops, wrong guy. And Alan walks by and says, kind of slaps you on the arm. Good luck.
No, wait, what?
Oh no, you've got a new job. Good luck. Bye.
Okay.
He kind of gestures over to the side. Come here. Come take a seat. So, how much do you know about being a champion so far?
Personally, I've kind of just started to learn by actions. Most of my life, I not really had much of a role, I guess. I mean, I am some say gatherer of knowledge, but this champion, and then seeing what it entails, and actually my friend, the white-haired woman, had spoken to the previous champion, where I got this sword, which we had talked to him at his burial site. Honestly didn't think anything of it until we had to go into that fight. Honestly, I learned the champion isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It did require a sacrifice of my other half. So I'm learning that there is great sacrifice for great power that I'm still not fully understanding. I'm learning I can do a few interesting things that honestly didn't think I was capable of. Before I was able to do a little bit of, I guess, magic, and that's a whole other question of even where I got that. But there's challenges, and honestly, I feel as if I'm this protector, but yeah, I'm not able to protect anybody. These last few fights I've watched my companions go down. That last fight, I don't think I would have survived if there wasn't. He kind of just puts his head down. The sacrifice made there. So this protector plus destroyer that I was told water represents, I'm not seeing the protector part. He's just full on doubting himself at this point, watching, I think at this point, almost every single person so far go down, either from the fire salamander or the fire gen. and he was up the whole time and watched it. You're muted.
Bonus points if they predict that I do it twice. Thought what Kiamel was the greatest of the champions that we ever had, at least according to our history books. He's certainly the most recent, and the memory does like to idolize what is most recent and easy to grasp. Say the champion 6 times before. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew of him. There was... It's more legend than history. Not that Zot is any easier to distinguish from history or legend. He didn't have it easy. The duty called him to be something that the world needed him to be. And it wasn't what he wanted to be. He gave up dreams, hope. His aptitude and affinity for water, the ability to be the champion, and his natural strength in combat. It wasn't something he wanted. It was just something that he was good at. But it called him anyways. And it took him away from his life, from his family, brothers, sisters, uncles, from a new wife. He knew it wasn't fair for her to be married to someone who would rarely be there and might not ever come home. So they separated when he got the call. And according to our books and the family legend, we never stopped loving her. And she found a life that was good for her. The rumor has it that it wasn't ever what she dreamed about, though. The call of the champion, and why I'm telling you this, is never easy. And it shouldn't be. It's not why people are brought into it. There are those who have to be able to lift themselves and others up, sometimes at their own expense.
So,
And I forgot to introduce myself. You are Zatju. I am Balakmed. Wakir was my great-grand uncle. There are many of his kin still alive and operating inside the college. And a bit beyond as well. His weight is our weight. His triumph is our triumph. There was quite a bit that he did that we are proud of. And we also share his sadness.
When he was the champion, he willingly gave up his family to be alone to serve what he thought was a greater cause.
But that was the path that he was destined to. He came to sacrifice, but being alone was his crux. It doesn't have to be. What he was called to do required him to be able to move swiftly, undetectedly, and be a single icon of power. Your purpose is still undetermined. Perhaps to follow in his footsteps, perhaps not.
You mentioned, did he have children?
We did not. We gave up that route before they were an option for him.
He just kind of looks around the room. This is a college. Is there any poems, books, anything that I could possibly read about his journeys or the past champions to better understand what this all entails and what these so-called abilities that I've yet to unlock? The concern I have here is being able to control these and not harm those that I travel with, or be able to use these to protect those that I travel with. The first one being this sword is, again, honestly not my choice of weapon, but lately it feels natural, but yet still getting used to. I don't have as much knowledge as others, and he'll glance down at the sword on his hip. So anything would be helpful to honestly speedrun this to get a better understanding, so I can be this champion, that this power that people keep saying I am. And in all honesty, most of my life I've never felt. I've been the knowledge gatherer, the more happy-go-lucky person, but also fight starters, as some might say, and have to clean up my mess. But power champion is new to me.
You've got quite a bit to learn about yourself, don't you?
Yeah, that's kind of why I started adventuring.
Researching others' experience is a strong way to begin. But understand that it belongs to them. Research your own experience. Absorb what is useful. Reject what is useless. Add what is essentially your own.
Yeah, it's not the first time I spent many, many hours studying. How long have you been here?
Since I was separated from my brother. Many of the males are legacy families inside of the college. I'm one of them. Not all of us take that path. Some of us take that path and do not remain here. I like it. It's a strong chance for me to use both my mind and body for something very worthwhile.
So I take it you're more of a scholar of types.
To a degree.
He just kind of smiles a little.
And kind of like looks up at his staff with the crystal on it. This isn't just for show.
Yeah, I got a feeling about that. I've learned one thing among travels, that looks can definitely be deceiving. Someone that may look peaceful, calm, could be a total psychopath, or someone that looks like they could stab you, could actually throw out some firebolt or something, or others look like they want to hit you and will hit you, metaphorically, maybe grow extra appendages or other stuff like that. I mean, I think those living here in Eon have learned one thing, is it's an adventure living here. It's kind of exciting.
It is.
I do appreciate this talk, and I have a feeling I will be back here at some point. But I might look around and see if I could find some of that information. And again, information can be very powerful. So studying that, and plus kind of looking at his garbs, I'd like to be in a little more attire, and honestly a little concerned that I've been separated from my group too long, and last time we got into some situations, so might be a good idea to go find them before one of them breaks something.
Well, please do.
I'll stand up and put his arm out to shake his hand.
And he stands up and kind of does like a spinning palm bow, and then reaches forward, grabs your hand.
Thank you. Just kind of stops and starts taking everything in, and just kind of is good with where he's at. Just kind of starts to walk out. Gets to the door and looks at him one more time, realizing this is the relative of a past champion. And just thinking on what he said, how he left his family for this. But that's not the route Dro has to go, but his calling is still undetermined, and just kind of nods at him one more time and steps out and tries to recall where they told him to go, where the rest of them were at, which is down here.
Mhm.
At this point, would
Good.
everyone still be in here at this point?
Yeah, this is all kind of simultaneously coming about at about the same time.
I'm guessing Yaslin's just standing out in the hallway.
Yeah, I'd say at this point, Yaslin's clothing is kind of being made. Anything? Yeah, so you basically just meet up. The four of you are together.
As
Anything
Yaslin
else you
picks
want to be
up.
doing?
Do you think you could also maybe add like a jacket or coat of some sort that if for whatever reason I have to cover up, I can? And that's maybe what Dro hears as
Dro
he
would-
comes around.
Joe would chime up. Don't forget the hole for the tail. Just out loud in front of everyone.
Tail? You don't seem to have a tail.
I can grow one.
Can you now?
Yeah, maybe like a slit or something that my tail can grow out of, so I don't just always have a hole in the back of my pants. But
You could get some buttons on the top, like they got on those pajamas.
This has been one of the most interesting and fairly ridiculous days I've had in quite some time. And as that all kind of comes to a close, he makes the clothes that you're looking for. Dro, what is it that you are wanting from him?
I'll just send an image in Discord. But something like that, with the purple being the blue, the water, the orange being the purple. I am one that likes to move very quickly in and out of situations. A fairly free form, a little bit stealthy, so I don't want anything getting caught. That's something I can maneuver in, and he'll kind of like do a flip or something to get like that point of maneuvering in. But also being able to carry these two items and securely the sword here.
Well, the more that you do to, add equipment, the less mobile you're going to be. You may want to consider stowing some of it.
He'll just kind of glance. He'll pull off the bow staff and glance between the bow staff and the sword. Where would you recommend stowing it?
Bag of holding, of course.
Yeah. I don't have one of those. I don't know about these guys. He kind of looks around. If you do, we need to talk. Honestly, these two items have been with me most of my life. This one a little more, and he pats the sword. And then the staff here was given to me before I'd left my home. So they have sentimental value.
Many things do.
And he'll
Don't recommend you get rid of them if they mean something to you.
You mentioned this bag of holding. Do you know where I could acquire one?
They're essentially general material for the students at the college. Wouldn't be too difficult to track one down. Perhaps ask the aide of the headmistress.
Okay. So I'll do that. I would like to do some research anyways on the topic. I'm kind of looking around, clocking who's here. Where is Margot?
I thought she might be with you.
You all disappeared. I don't know if you heard or not, but I was yelling for you guys for quite a while. And then I got bored.
Oh? Oh. I don't know where she is.
Wasn't she with you? She was in there with the quartermaster. She got that weird little blood thingy. Did no one see her leave?
I left before she left.
He turns and looks at Yaslin. We were in there for a bit. When did you leave exactly?
I didn't exactly keep track of time on when I left and when I arrived.
You didn't break anything, did you?
No.
Inside check.
She says as she has to like check herself. You're like, wait, did I not?
Hold on, I'm just because I want to.
She doesn't seem super sure whether she broke anything or not. She doesn't think she did, but like, then again, she's like, this is myself I am talking about. I could very well have broken something and not even known I broke it.
Okay. Right news, that piece of paper you've been carrying around.
Yeah?
It's a recruitment flyer. To here.
Excuse me.
Yup.
You mean to tell me
Yes.
that I've been interrogating the entire town?
We.
Yes, we.
I
right,
followed
of
you
course.
into
this.
this,
Makes,
and
this makes me feel better that I wasn't the only potential bad guy in this situation. We interrogated the town
yeah.
only to find out it's a recruitment paper.
Want to go to school?
No,
Well, you grabbed the wrong
I'm
piece
not
of paper.
exactly. I'm not the school type.
School bully, maybe, but
I would not be a bully.
if someone looked at you the wrong way,
Well, if someone looked at you the wrong way, what would you do?
verbally abuse them compared to physically.
Intimidation. I wouldn't always hit them.
You'd flip a coin. Anyways. Look back over.
And you guys are able to, like, as this kind of conversation's going on, like, between the four of you and whatnot, he's wrapping up on Dro's clothing, and as you guys are, like, all in the room, like just chatting, and you hear occasional chuckles and whatnot from Dagrim, and is just laughing at like your ridiculousness amongst yourselves. And you see the quartermaster just kind of like start walking by.
I would immediately run out to the hall. Excuse me.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. The little creepy blood item you gave our friend Margot. Did you see where she went?
Yes. I took her to a private room so she could attune to it. Something amiss?
She's not one. Well, honestly, I don't know her that well, but she's been gone for a while. And normally, we would either see her or she would abruptly make herself known to us. And neither of those have occurred.
The attunement process does take quite a while, but I left her there maybe 2 or 3 hours ago.
Would you be able to point us to which room?
By all means, this way. Just right around the corner. It brings you all over, and you open up, and you see an unconscious Margot, just face down on the floor, her eyes kind of open wide, face is very pale, those lavender tattoos, or those lavender lines on her body are bright and glowing and pulsing, and the blood vial that's around her neck is on the floor next to her, glowing bright green. You just see her unconscious as her mouth is kind of moving, and you see her face, a fresh cut begins to form and just run down her cheek to the line of her chin with no visible reason for the purpose of the cut.
Look at the quartermaster. Is that normal?
He's just sitting there kind of stunned.
He'll just start snapping at him.
Alright, no! And he's just like, kind of crosses his arms, starts thinking, that shouldn't be happening. It's a pretty simple magical item. I don't know what's going on. What?
I'm gonna move in the room and cast Spare the Dying on her.
Okay, as you do, you reach down, touch her, and you can feel that nothing is happening when you do. She's still alive. She's not her body is not in a physical danger of death. You can tell that by the lack of application of your spell. What is she?
That's a
I
good
don't
question.
know.
From my understanding, she's kind of stares at her. Human, but she has this ability, like this she has the ability to like psychically link, talking to our heads, and she talks a lot about balance. And
Plenty of things have telepathy. Balance is a pretty common desire. What else? Anything, even if it's minor, may give us some sort of answers here.
A special sight.
yeah, she
She-
can see everything.
I think she sees like other colors and planes. Like I feel it's like a shrimp.
A shrimp?
They
No,
have
no, it's
like more
They can-
spectral vision than we do.
It's a common enough fact. Well known here to college, focuses on water.
Can I roll a
Sight telepathy.
history check or something to try to, with what little we know about Margot?
Yeah. Go ahead and all of you roll one of those.
And I use guidance as well as Joe's just kind of sitting in the corner trying to rack his brain.
Sure.
No, nothing.
15. Can we get one from Leo?
What was that roll? History? Yeah, hold on.
History check, yeah.
I got it.
There we go.
Rolling hard. Plus 1.
Mm-hmm. Leo, you're the only one that remembers. She mentioned Corey once or twice. It's a language that her family knows. And
Yeah, just relay that to the group, but just say, I've picked up a few bits of information from her talking. That's one of them.
She also
She worked at a
mentioned
quarry.
she mentioned her mother was a healer.
Oh, she speaks quarry. She doesn't.
Oh,
She didn't work at a quarry.
Oh, I see.
and it starts to go through. So, okay. Has additional sight abilities. Corey knows how telepathy, and he starts running through his head, and it's like, not a monster. Assumedly, not a monster. His eyes snap open. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
She's a college star.
Excuse me.
College
Is it
star.
right?
It's a type of peoples who, they bond with ancestors and spirits of the dead. And in a few cases, historically, magically speaking, when a Kalashtar uses a bloodwell vial and attempts to attune to it, it bypasses the blood, focuses on that connection to the dead, which is linked via the soul, and it becomes a Soulwell vial instead. I thought it was a myth, but like gestures down to her. Obviously not.
And this means
It means we need to get her to the infirmary. Now.
Oh yeah. I'm wholly just gonna pick her up then. We're gonna
Yeah.
hightail.
Okay, and you guys start booking it through the college, and he leads you to this like icy crystal over here. And this is a portal. We're gonna go up to the next floor, and like basically you guys start running through and you get to the infirmary, and that is where we are going to take our break. So you guys work with Hamill to get through the college up to the infirmary, and after a few moments of people like rushing in and around and whatnot, you get Margot kind of laid out on a bed and start going through kind of just like a brief history of like what you know and like kind of translating it to the person who seems to kind of run things there. That would be this fishy looking person who has kind of like a unique, odd physiology to them. But they come over and they seem kind of like nature magic based. You give them a lowdown, and she just like kind of goes over and like starts to do general healing, like heals up the cut on the face, and like every once in a while as you're sitting there watching Margot, her body will twitch and there will be a new bruise on her shoulder, or like she'll kind of gasp out in pain, and like the fingers on her hand break and crack, and you're all just kind of standing around this bed watching this.
Is there anything we can do for her?
Any additional information you have would be very helpful. I'm grasping at straws to try to figure out what's going on in here. Just, who is she? What does she do? Like, this is the part where having family's medical history might be very helpful, but I assume that's in short supply.
The family that we know of her, she spoke about is she said her mother was a healer, and starts to recall the most recent conversations Dro had with Margot, where she had mentioned they have the ability to tether souls to somebody, and her magic that she uses is honestly quite unique. Again, like we've mentioned here, she has the ability to speak to us in our minds. She is able to, and looks over at Yaslin, glance into her mind and talk, and kind of looks at Yaslin like doesn't want to give away too much of what happened, like with the chimera and everything. She was able to help her, and she was able to see an individual that nobody besides me was able to see. Beyond that, we'd only met her a few days ago. I mean, Seamus, you've got, I wouldn't say similar magic as her, but same combat technique, I guess. What do you think of her magic?
Who were you asking there?
You, Seamus.
I super was reading about prehistoric fish there for a second, and I apologize.
You're good. Joe just asked because you both use magic, what you thought of her magic.
She's clearly a powerful sorceress, and that Bloodwell vial she was tapping into is a thing that is made specially for the kind of magics that certain people deal in. And I don't know how much you know of the different magic realms and such. It's hard to say even in Eon, because people can come from so many different places. It's hard to say what the rules are there, what gods and goddesses have effects on things. So it's hard to say where her powers have to do with the living and the dead. And she's got capabilities to see beyond material planes, as it were, or other spaces and realms. She can. It's like she sees in the dark and almost completely blind, but also more than that. I think she's talked about, like not like auras or something, but like spirits of people. I don't know. That's the best I've got.
She, isn't Dro pulls out the sword. The previous wielder of this, she was able to speak to him from his grave. I don't know quite a few people that can do that.
Quartermaster say
Hmm.
something of a Soulwell vial you mentioned.
Right there. The best I understand, she's a Kalashtar, and that generally means that her soul is more active and able to attune to other souls than the norm. Does that sound vaguely on track?
Yeah.
It's good
Right.
we've got.
Right, so Soulwell vials, it's a bit of a perversion of a Bloodwell vial. Sometimes it's done on purpose, but I'm assuming she doesn't know this part of her lineage. I mean, it's so, like I mentioned downstairs, it's so rare, it's spoken about in secret, and doesn't seem like it would actually happen. It's more like historical rumor than anything. And he's just kind of like going through and grasping the straws. Everybody give me either an Arcana or a History check based on Soulwell Vial. Oh, it wanted to be that nat 20 so bad. Lots of middle of the, lots of like high middle there, guys. Okay. I'm gonna say, even with the 16s, this is a very obscure reference, and nobody's heard of it.
Leo, do you remember what kind of deep sleep or dream sleep our companion had gone under?
The old man or Margot?
Yeah, the old man. Do you think it's that kind of thing? We had another compatriot we were traveling with that had some kind of other, like, dream powers of such.
He did have a twinkle in his eye. Sparkling eyes, if I remember right.
And her eyes, and as Hamel gestures to the dog kind of lifts them up, they match the same greenish swirl that is inside the Soulwell eye. And it's like, maybe, I don't know much about this thing. He reaches over and like tries to grab the vial and like take it off his head. And as he does, like 7 little spikes shoot out the back of his hand. It's all colored, that same kind of like misty green swirl. I was like, damn! That's not looking like much of an option then.
It's like a defense mechanism or something. You might want to take that to the infirmary.
Right. Yes, there's nothing that I can't handle any kind of waves. And it's like, and starts to heal up on his arm. It's like, that stings. I could. Mm, it's more of an agitation of the mind than the body. Ah.
Psychological, you saying?
Might be
Psychotropic.
psychic damage for sure. Leo, you
Boy.
got a 6. You got a 16. And soul connection's kind of your thing. Give me an Arcana check to pair with your history check.
Not so good with the magic.
Nope.
He's never really understood fully how the soul gems work. It's just how he was raised.
Mm-hmm. And does anybody here have the ability to read minds or touch souls or anything that? I don't think this is a condition of her body. I think her body is being affected by her mind.
He just asked that, and Drill just points to her.
That would be, yeah.
Her.
Mm-hmm.
I recently gained the ability to try to detect thoughts. Something I've done for a long time with my creatures, but now might be able to redirect. And he can cast Detect Thoughts. I don't know what that roll was for, but it was fun.
I think so detect thoughts is an automatic thing where you can.
I know, I don't know why I rolled. I just kind of thought I'd click it.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So you gather, like, surface level is apparent, and then to get beyond surface level thoughts, kind of to go into memories and deeper understandings, feelings about different things, you have to push past them. And you have to make a wisdom save.
Well, I did
I
it
believe
either
that's
way.
the spell.
Yeah, it says Wisdom 12, so I got a 14 if you still count my -1 Soul Crush.
So,
I think it's a
Detect
wisdom save from her.
Yeah, it's for
Ah.
them to make against
I don't know
you.
why it rolled for me then.
No.
I guess
You
maybe
have-
I'm targeting myself.
That's what I was.
Yeah, you have to
wondering.
target him.
Nope, I didn't mean to make that a private roll. That was supposed to be a public roll, but I'm giving her a disadvantage because she's not all present. But both of them failed. I got a 6 and a 9.
Cool.
So
So yeah, I'll try to
This
probe
is
deeper into her mind. Made a saving throw, she failed. So then I gain insight into reasoning, their emotional state, and something that looms large in their mind.
so reasoning. Okay. Get all that so I can make sure to kind of give you piece by piece. Okay. Da-da-da.
Bummers. Do you know what's happening, Bubbers?
Aw.
Not a thought. Not a clue.
Detect
Maybe.
thoughts on the puppy.
His brain's empty. Boom.
Not
Don't say that.
Okay. The reasoning is almost non-existent. You feel Margot. The only reasoning that she has seems to be repetitive, trying to like run through a multitude of training drills, trying to find some sort of answer. But it's very slight to get that. The emotional state is nothing but pure panic. She is steeped in fear, lack of understanding, just massive anxiety. And occasionally there's like a brief moment of like respite where it all just tames down to like intense fear instead of like absolute, utter, complete fear. Something looms large on its mind is, or so you get that, and then you also feel a sense of responsibility that is impossible to carry. That she has to do something and she can't do it. It's not a matter of willpower, it's the matter of there's no way in hell she's strong enough. And she's not self-berating, it's just an immense opposition. And there's also a lot of pain running. Gotta hide, gotta survive, gotta think. And you can tell there's something further, but Leo, even you being in this space, and we'll make use of that 15 wisdom saving throw. It's kind of infectious to be in here. It takes a little bit of like mental fortitude to block out what is her versus what is you in this space. There's a possibility that you could go further to see more, to understand more. But you're not sure if you would lose yourself or not.
I don't think Leo would risk it. This is a new ability for him.
That is, I just realized we don't have that on there for you. But that's the Soul Loss -1, not a -2.
Mm-hmm.
Just don't have it during icon for it.
Just see in there.
Yeah, do you come out, or is there anything that you do while you're at that kind of secondary level?
Yeah, I'd probably just come out. Just not sure, like, if he knows what to do to interact with it or anything.
Okay. As you start to pull out, there is one last kind of image that you get, and it's this like flaring insect head. As you reach out, it's just like it's like seeing like two frames in the middle of a movie. It's just as you like yank out, you feel intense heat, hatred, and just kind of like a disgust from this thing.
How would I just explain what I saw to the group?
Did you say a bug?
At the very end, it was fast.
That seems like maybe another layer of something that is something else.
Definitely something in there. Something frightening.
How many of us
And-
are there here? Seems like each time one of you guys go digging around inside of one of the other, you find more people.
Yeah.
Now bugs. Can we help? Is there anything that we can do?
I'm not sure. Perhaps we need a bit more information to work off of. I barely know what I'm dealing with. Mostly all I can do is help the body. That's,
Does anybody around here know her? We met her outside of the college. We were fighting the fires.
well, we generally know everyone else, and she's not one of ours.
I wish we could send for someone.
Look, we're at a college, and we have a vast library down below. Maybe there's something we can find in there. Just some sort of way to learn more about this situation and figure out what it is that we can do to stop it.
I don't know where else to look. Unless anybody else has any ideas.
What about the library? Not here, but where we were originally.
We have our own collection of tomes and learnings here, and we may have something. They may have something as well. Perhaps.
Maybe we can send word down there. Have a couple people look or something and take a look here ourselves or something.
No, it's not a bad idea. I'll go start that process. Excuse me. And Hamill kind of dips out. I'll remain here with her, and me and my staff will keep our physicality alive as long as we can. Between a lot of us, we've got quite a bit of healing available. Even though it's been about 5 days since the fire stopped. So most people are healed up. We're tired, but we can continue.
Dro, do you think you could maybe just give her a bit of guidance? If she's in there thinking, doing stuff, then maybe any little bits could help.
I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, it saved our ass back there, so I'll reach over and grab her hand and whisper down in her ear, and nobody, maybe the fishman here would hear, but Joe would say, now, don't be leaving us just yet. You just offered me a favor, and I would love to cash it in. Cast guidance.
Okay. You feel the spell in your concentration vanish almost immediately. Like it was like the charge was used as per usual.
In my time in my tribe, like connecting some dots and some similarities, have I ever heard tales of the ritual that I went through failing? And what happened to those people who performed it but didn't succeed?
Yeah, go ahead and roll a history check with advantage because it's your people.
While we're sitting here, Joe's gonna look the rest of the group. Do we plan to stay here for the day? Because I might be able to do a little more, but it will tap me out a little bit.
I've got some other business, but it's not so pressing that we need to get going.
I think.
Yaslin. Oh, go ahead, Drew.
I think it might not be a bad idea to at least see if we could stay a day, get information that we need, and then go from there. Unless someone's in a rush to leave.
I don't think so. And I think that we shouldn't just leave her here, and traveling with her in this state would be dangerous.
Yeah.
We did just meet, but if we didn't go through hell during the introduction, seems we're sticking around to make sure we can help her out here.
And to be fair, she did save our ass.
Yeah, she saved my ass, so it's the least.
Yeah. I think Dro, when you say that, Dro would smile at Margot. Plus, I don't think any of us was capable of closing that damn portal.
Attendee, could you maybe give us the room for just a minute here?
If physical condition worsens, just holler and I'll come back in.
Is there a mushroom we can push or a button or something around
A
here?
mushroom.
Just scream.
Yeah.
I thought it might be good to talk just a little in private in case there were things, but that power of hers, that's unique to Aeon that I'm aware of. And I don't know how many other people should know about that until she gets the choice to let them know about it. It seems seems like something that people might want to take advantage of if they could.
Yeah, she, back at the graveyard when we were keeping watch, she wasn't real open to sharing a whole lot, at least right now. He said,
I can't pin her accent.
she also said, upon more trust, she's more willing to open up. That, or we could just pry more.
I find that prying more often leads to people clamping down harder.
It's definitely Eastern European. I'm just not sure where.
You're
What's
European.
European? Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of water around here, but I'm sure there's some bathrooms if you got to go.
Oh, never mind.
Morgan, there was a teleporter to get up here, right?
Mhm.
Okay, never mind.
How much do you want the world to know that you're a champion? While we're
I mean,
I don't think I have a choice on that.
I was wondering about that. I figured it was kind of probably a thing.
And he just kind
You
of
carry-
swings the sword around. I think this is a pretty good idea to most people.
Oh, what
Did you
way to
guys see
swing
my
that
new
thing?
hat?
What did Leo say?
Have you seen my new hat?
He just kind of walks up and hits the feather. Yeah.
It's quite a looker.
Seamus, to your point, I think right now, I think you're right. There may be a target, at least on some of us, if not all of us, in all honesty. I mean, we did kind of piss off Fire. So,
and then we pissed off maybe our employees.
yeah, I'm not too worried about them compared to Fire.
We've made some foes here recently, I think, but I think also some friends. I think that's where you're gonna find that the people of the Ripples are going to be probably pretty accommodating. So there's probably upsides and downsides. I feel like we've seen a few of the upsides already. I'll show off my badass tattoo a little bit.
Kind of looks at it, and Dro opens his bag and just stares at the bowl he was given. I mean, yeah. I
I went
just
to that part of Ripple Mountain, and all I got was this lousy bowl.
Yeah.
that he has no idea how to use yet. We did get these items, but we did lose a lot. And kind of glancing back over at Margot, I'd rather that not be a common occurrence and reach over and cast Bless on her. There. Why did it put 3?
I don't know.
You're super uber duper
Just
concentrating
staring
on
at
this
her.
so hard.
Oops.
Concentrating.
I think I just got rid of your cloak of protection too.
Oh no.
Something's going on with concentrator. I think
Oh,
I've
it
got 2
did.
concentrators overlapping each other. Sorry.
Yeah. It's weird that it's like the same icon too. Let me see.
Mhm.
No, that doesn't do anything. Oh well, I'll worry about it later. Unless you're gonna throw combat at us immediately.
The fish comes back in and stabs Dro through the chest of the trident.
oh,
I told you to scream.
Yeah. So did I get anything on my 18 history on like
Yes.
potential failures of the ritual?
Yep. most of the time, they get eaten.
Okay.
Well,
Okay,
that didn't
cool.
happen.
So for Yaslin, in her head, she's just like, if this is like anywhere similar to like what people do, my people do, things are looking really bleak.
Yeah. So, to give you more detail, most of the time, when the ritual is attempted and failed, it means the kind of the soul along with that person, or the soul from that person is basically like that strength of character is not strong enough to dominate the beast, and so instead they are dominated. And either that means they're kind of like stunned and the beast will kill them, eat them, whatever, or you got an 18. There have been a couple of times where like a more intelligent monster will kind of take over the body.
Oh.
And they're kind of puppeteered in this like bad imitation of that person. And oftentimes if it's a malevolent creature in the first place, it'll go like try to find a way to like infiltrate and cause harm. And
Okay.
but that latter example is pretty rare historically, and most of the time it's a failure. Sometimes, every once in a while somebody will become catatonic and their body will survive.
Okay. All right. The only reason like Yaslin thought of that was because the centipede was brought up. She's like, well, that's a little more familiar. It's an animal.
Ish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Gosh. I just don't know how much we can do for her right now.
Yeah, I
Let's go
think.
to the library.
Yeah, I think that's our best bet.
Yeah.
Does my concentration on bless immediately end like guidance did?
Nope.
Okay.
It lasts for the full minute before dissipating.
Okay. It's good to know. Hold on. Wait a minute. Okay. For some reason, I thought the spells did the same thing, just lower dice. Okay.
Mhm.
So she's doing ability checks. I hate that sound.
To the library then? Oh, sorry.
Library.
What else do we see in here while we're in here? I know a lot of our attention went towards Margot, but now that it's just us in the room, is there anything that I guess at this point piques interest? Muted.
3 times. Everything is full. Maybe like 2 or 3 beds are left that do not have some sort of burn victim in them.
Do any of the victims look close to death?
No. They all look like they're stable and healing.
Just look back towards the portal. Library?
Should somebody stay with her?
I can. I'm not really much of a book person.
Should
That
we-
surprises me.
Really?
No, not really. I just wanted to say that for your benefit.
Oh, thanks. Look, I take no offense in it. I was the less studious of the bunch.
Don't say it.
You still picked up that word.
I got pretty far in life.
And I repeat, school bully.
Was not a bully. I mean, to
Uh,
some people, it
There
might
it
After
is.
be
the
seen as bullying.
after the lessons,
It's usually the people on the other side that feel like I'm bullying them. But I feel like it's justified bullying, you know? Like, they got what was coming for them.
Whatever
As I
lets you
dig
sleep at
the
night.
pit- as I dig the grave deeper.
Joe's not believing any of that shit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you guys move on to the library.
Yes, and they'll stay here.
Yes, Dro's going to look for the headmaster's assistant before he starts research.
Sounds good.
I wonder if
So
it's
has-
worth asking the Kieran about. They seem to be a person of special knowledge, and maybe if you don't want to push it, I can go talk to him.
Oh yeah, we could literally just go walk up. I was just gonna try to talk.
Oh yeah, you can do that, can't you?
No. If I can, I ain't doing it right. I would imagine there's windows in this college, right, Morgan? Like we could see where the
Mhm.
light was. Was it still fairly bright? Could we tell time of day?
No, time of day by now, after like all the tailoring and everything's probably getting close to about like 10 p.m. or so.
Oh boy. That
Yeah, you
might...
guys woke up like mid-afternoon-ish.
Okay. That might be a conversation we want to wait for the morning. I don't think they'd appreciate us stumbling in the middle of the night unannounced after a recent attack.
Maybe they keep ripple top hours. Like good, decent folk.
I think that's just a special case. At least, I mean, most cities, I know some in particular, there is a nightlife for sure. That one seems a little different than what I'm experienced with, but I don't know. But there is something I want to do before we either leave here or start study time. And I think if we go, at least the three of us should go together and not separate. Especially with one of us down, and we're kind of low on numbers.
Start with the library then.
Agreed. And Dro's gonna walk over to Yaslin with his back to the other two and pull out the crossbow he pocketed. Hold this. In your bag.
Oh, could you fully ready to just
I know.
aim it at the dart? Whoever comes in next gets a bolt right past their face.
And he's just gonna lean in. This is between us.
What is?
The bolt. Just put it away.
It's a crossbow bolt, not a
Yeah.
crossbow.
Yeah, crossbow bolt.
Okay. He looks at it for a second.
It's covered in blood.
Is covered in blood.
The end is.
Does a little bit of like connecting the dots and looks at him again. All right. She'll put it away.
Out of game. A couple sessions back when Dro, this is the bolt he pulled out. Would he have clocked that Yaslin noticed him do that? Because it was a quick heel, pull, pocket.
No.
No,
She
but
was
yeah.
she was face down.
I was like, I was getting conscious still.
I'm just curious if Dro is clocking that she's thinking, knows the same thing as him, or if she's thinking of something else.
I mean, connecting the dots, like, I know something hit me, otherwise I wouldn't have gone down. And there's only a number of things that were behind me, and those were all my allies.
And he'll look at you. We'll talk about it when I get back.
Okay.
Then he'll turn, reach over. If Bless is gone, cast guidance on Margot one more time.
And takes about 5 seconds. Consume.
Okay. I'd be more comfortable if Bless was working. Okay. Then just walk up with the guys to the portal.
And you guys are able to disperse. And are all 3 of you going to the library?
Well, Dro's gonna look for the headmaster's assistant first. So I'll wander till he
Okay.
finds.
So as you spread around the college, trying to gain some insight into what could be happening with your new companion, you just went through such a crucible with, only to see her go down accidentally. You start racking your brain, trying to figure out what things are potentially going to help, where to start. Time to start picking up the breadcrumbs, and a sense of unease kind of sits on all of you as the dominoes fall one after another, not really allowing you to get proper mental respite in a place that was supposed to be safe for all of you. That's where we're going to go ahead and end tonight.